Okay, why prep? Why prepare? I want to go ahead and answer this question because a lot of people assume that people, just because they prep or they prepare, that we are very fearful, which I'm having a hard time trying to understand that kind of mindset and why somebody would even think that way. But I don't spend too much time thinking why people think that way, because if I did, I would literally go insane myself. But you think about it. In some form of life, no matter what way or which way you live, whether it be in the city or out in the country in a rural area, you have some form of preparations that you do anyway. It may be as minimum, as small as this, or it may be a lot. I mean, it just depends on what your interests are. Some people have it that, and they think that, okay, I've got to stock up this, stock up that. You take a look around your house and see some of the things that you have actually stocked up. And you'll see that you're doing some type of prepping, but it's all based on your your personal appearance. I'll give an example. Or how do you say it? Let me give an example. All right. Let's say if you are into cars. If you're into cars, then no doubt you're going to have oil filters. You may even have a couple of belts. You have cleaning supplies. You may have a bunch of stuff just stored off in the garage whenever you want to go out there and work on your vehicle, and they're already there. Well, it's the same way with food preparation. When you have food preparation stuff, you may have a lot of stuff that is already stored up simply because in case of a hard time. Let me give you an example. Here in Tennessee, along about, I think it was 2008, 2009, somewhere along there, a tornado came through this little county I live in. And it did a lot of devastation, and I mean a lot of devastation. Of course, at that time, Bush and them come there politically grandstanding the stage playing, and of course, the county didn't see any of the money that the federal government had promised and stuff. It was all a PR. That's all it is. The president government, what are you going to do? He's not going to do anything, and they're going to make a bunch of empty promises. And we've seen that this is the attitude of the people who run this government. But that tornado tore up a lot of stuff. Now, as far as the community that I have personally, along with a faithful few brothers and sisters, you have to understand that I live on, we haven't just been preparing since 2008 or when the tornado and everything started, when it came along. No, I moved on this piece of land in 1998, early 1998. And you can say that I've been preparing ever since. Now, we was without electricity for 2 weeks. That's how devastating this storm was. All right? And I sit and watch people. I went out for a few times because the first thing I did was see if I could help anybody. And I only had 2 neighbors out of the whole entire county. And both of them live in one house to actually come to see how we were doing. But I went out to see if I could help anyone. And then I'll sit and watch within anywhere within 50 to 100 miles, all the stores were completely sold out of water. The shelves were almost totally bone dry. There's a lot of stuff you couldn't get. It's unbelievable. Now, we are prepared. My home, personally, I don't have what you call central heating and air in my home. I choose to live that way. That's my choice, it's my decision. Simply because with the way that we like heat in the wintertime, there's no way we can pay that kind of electric bill. So we choose to heat by wood stoves. And it took some time for me to get used to heating with wood stoves, but I would never, ever think about going back to central heating and air ever again in my life. Now, here in Tennessee, we may have 1 to 2 months to where the weather is extremely hot. So therefore, I just use a window air condition. And we don't even, have to have the whole entire house air conditioned. It's mainly this office where I have all this electronic equipment and computers and stuff in order to do the broadcast and the ministry. Now, I said all that to say this. We already had water on the land. And we already got food on the land. We had a hot meal every single day. We didn't have electricity, so we've got stoves that are hooked up on propane. We have wood stoves. that we can use and actually cook meals on. And my wife can delegate to different sisters on the land, tell them, okay, you cook this, and you cook that, and we can still come to the dining hall and have a wonderful meal. We did not miss a beat. Is it an inconvenience once you get used to electricity? Sure it is, but for us, we're already prepared. Our mind is already made up and set there. Hey, you wouldn't believe how much of your worries and your fears and anxieties and cares of this life go away when you are forced to do with something that you were used to having all the time. And of course, you have no access to the outside world when you have no internet. And we don't have a TV signal on this land. We have monitors, but Pastor Dow hasn't had a TV signal even in my own personal dwelling places for 20 years. I don't see no reason to have one. Why? I got too much other time than to occupy my time. This is me personally. To sit down, in front of some monitor and sit and watch some stupid sitcom that's trying to shape my value system. That's too much information being exchanged. And I'm not communicating anything. I'm actually receiving information. And then they advertise you have to put thoughts into your head and mind so that when you go to the store out here, you may not even want the product, but because it's a thought that enter into your mind. And mind you, Americans are used to having thoughts enter into their mind that they're controlled by every single day. And we never challenge the thoughts that are going on in our mind. We just assume that they originate and come from our own volition. So we go ahead and submit to them, even if we don't need it. We'll go out there, we're not even hungry, and we'll just buy something simply because a commercial put something in our head. But during that storm, we were prepared. We had food. We had water. We had heat because it was during the cold months. We did not miss a beat. They could have not given us electricity. They could have never cut it on for the next 4, 5, 6 months for us, and we would have still have been fine. We would have functioned very well. And now our mindset, ever since that these crazy, chaotic, natural so-called disasters are taking place, now we're trying to do things now to where we do not need to use implements that require alternative fuel source, or energy sources, so to speak. So now I'm experimenting with a new concept in gardening way to where we don't have to water. Did y'all hear what I said? We don't have to water. And right now it's doing pretty good. So we're changing and shifting in everything that we do to become more independent. But we prepare all the time. Now, I think it's a whole lot more convenient when you have a wood stove in your house. You can take and set whatever you cook the rice in. You could put rice in there. You know how long a 50-pound bag of rice will do? It'll do you a good long time. And you can open up one of those big cans that you've been, hopefully, listening to me, you've been buying and you stocked up in your house. You could heat that up in another pot on the stove, wood stove. And you could take that rice, put it on the plate, and take that can and heat it up, that chunky soup or whatever organic soup that you choose. You could put it on there. And man, I tell you, what a meal that you would have. And you really don't need 3, 4, 5, 6 meals a day. We here at Straightway, we only eat twice a day. We only eat twice a day. We may have a banana, an apple, or something like it in between, but we only have lunch, breakfast, and then dinner. That's it. We don't have food set out for lunch in the middle of the day and all that. We don't do that. We only eat twice a day. And we're still able to work very hard. So I think it's all about being prepared, because if you're not prepared and a disaster or something does take place, then you wished you would have prepared, because you're not going to force these supermarkets to store food for you when they don't have it and the trucks cannot get into those areas. And you definitely want to be outside of all major population centers, because it's going to be hard for you. Have you watched Katrina? Did you watch this tornado that hit upside the East Coast here not too long ago? Have you tried to watch all these people who quickly became refugees? Displaced people, refugees. Have you quickly watched and see how fast that people's lifestyles were altered and changed? And you get on that highway, you'll probably travel a half a mile in 4 hours. Why would you want to even get caught in a situation like that when you can simply prepare? So preparing is just intelligent all the way around. If you're out like us, you have to have a security plan. You need a security plan in the city because everybody's going to be out there. But, we live a long way out. And if somebody come out here and if they get past all of the signs, if they get past the security system and everything we've got, knowing that they're not welcome, and we've got signs in reserve stating that in case we're in a world without rule of law, we'll put it up. You're not welcome. You go past that. You do it at your own apparel. Remember, Pastor Dow's not a Christian, so therefore I do not adopt Roman Catholic Christianity church policies. I'm a Hebrew, so therefore I adopt the policies of the Bible. And I don't believe in allowing strangers to trespass on my land. And you would do well to probably try to read that Bible for yourself and see how it speaks and talks in order to get a good understanding. So you need to prepare because simply it's intelligent. Because if nothing ever happens, you lost nothing. But if the people who do not prepare and something happens, you're in some serious trouble, very serious trouble. And you think about this today, can you truly depend upon the benevolence of your neighbor? Can you really, truly? I mean, think about it. If you're a person and you really, truly don't have much, the attitude you should have is to do whatever you can to be of an honest and sincere heart, be a man or woman of integrity, and build strong relationships with people so you can have a mutual assistance group, somewhere to go to. But people have so many funny ways about themselves. They're just simply not that intelligent to do that. Because I promise you, I'm not going to have people here straightway who can't obey the simplest of laws and rules, and they definitely don't have a character or a nature that people would enjoy being around. I would not be a good pastor nor a good watchman at all if I permitted that kind of behavior. So, hey, hope I said something to stimulate your thought. I will always continue to tell you, go out and buy food. Buy a lot of food. You can't hardly. I remember I told you that it's not the fact of the matter that you will not be able to afford to buy silver. It's just that there's not going to be any silver for you to buy. Go back in my archives and see those words ring true today. It's remarkable and amazing. You listen to a wise man, you will be wise yourself still. You listen to a fool, you'll be a fool. An excuse making fool still. Have a good day.